Welcome to another episode of the When to Pick series, the series that tells you where will be the best times to pick a certain jungle champion. In today's episode, it's Jungle Cho Gath. Jungle Cho Gath is one of the more well-adapted junglers in the game, as his jungle prowess is rather strong. His speed, his clearing, his ganking is all pretty damn good. He does have the weakness in that he has weak-ass initiation and puts certain restrictions in your team comp. His damage tends to be in the lower end of the spectrum, but he can be the sole provider of crowd control for your team, and in some cases, he can single-handedly shut down entire enemy team. All while also being one of the most versatile junglers in the game, build-wise, and being one of the most cost-effective junglers in the game. If it wasn't obvious, Jungle Cho Gath is best picked as last as you can get, as you can try to see if your team composition can accommodate a Cho Gath's weaknesses, or if he can counter pretty much an entire enemy team. If there's few champions he can counter on the enemy team, he's still a strong pick, but it's better to wait as close as last as you can. However, he's also a strong first pick, not in that there will be champions you'll counter or whatever, but that it will allow your team to accommodate Cho Gath and also scare the enemy team into not picking champions that get countered by Cho Gath. And in some cases, you can restrict their champion choices as a result. They may not want to pick their LeBlanc or Katarina because there's a Cho Gath in the game. And even if it means that they don't pick any champions that you counter, Cho Gath still tends to be a rather useful champion thanks to the wealth of crowd control he has. With that in mind, he works very well with other champions that can accommodate his lack of initiation, such as Malphite, Annie, or Leona. Cho Gath counters teams that contain champions that are casters, both AD or AP, and sustain or burst, and melee champions, en masse at least, though to a lesser extent than the casters. That means he counters champions like Katarina, LeBlanc, Pantheon, Rengar, Kha'Zix. Even though they have moves that may jump him out of his abilities, they either will take the silence full on, or they'll be forced to use their abilities a lot sooner than they hoped for. It still tends to be a win-win situation, and the silence can hit more than one champion, so it's not always wasted if LeBlanc were to dodge it and it still hits to the rest of the team. Cho Gath's role is largely dependent on whatever team comp he's fighting against. Against a team full of frontline murderers that want to destroy his MVP, he becomes more of a bodyguard, using his wealth of crowd control to just keep removing them from trying to kill his MVP. The silence will stop their abilities, his rupture will remove them, giving them enough time, your MVP at least, to retreat and get into a better positioning. Where Cho Gath's cooldowns are low enough that he's able to basically spam these. And if they're melee champions, Rupture becomes very easy to land. Now he's fighting a lot of casters and he becomes more of a frontline aggressor, always trying to stick on whoever's the most dangerous caster and constantly silencing them, rupturing them, and whatever, just keeping them from contributing in the team fights. If you're fighting a lot of physical champions, the Glacial Shroud line is the best, especially if they're mostly melee champions. Then Frozen Heart will cripple them and it'll provide the cooldown reduction for you to spam the abilities, which will peel them off your MVP. Now you're fighting a lot of aggressive AP casters, then you get to be the more of the frontline champion, then building health, magic resistance, and offensive auras such as Abyssal Scepter or Random Zoman will help you get into the front line, make them weaker, slow them down, and force them to retreat or fight in severely unfavorable conditions. As a summary of what we learned today, Jungle Cho Gath is one of the best junglers in the game when it comes to just jungling. As a pick though, he puts too many restrictions on his team composition, such as being a tank with no actual initiation and being a champion with very low mobility overall. In terms of jungle matchups, he's pretty much average across the boards, with weaknesses against strong duelists, especially mobile duelists such as Elise and Lee Sin, so avoid those types of champions. He also is relatively easy to build item-wise, and he's very strong at taking objectives. Jungle Cho Gath is best used as closest to the last pick as you can get him to. However, he's a good first pick as well, because sometimes he can force the enemy to not pick certain champions that would get countered by him, such as casters or combo champions. With that in mind, he is absolutely devastating versus team compositions composed of combo mages or champions that require the repeated use of their abilities in order to deal damage. He doesn't exactly fit any team comp, and instead is more of a glorified counter pick. Therefore, he is largely dependent on whatever the enemy team comp chooses, and thus that will dictate how effective he is in the game. And thus, if you learn how to play jungle Cho Gath and understand what kind of team comps he is good against and pick appropriately, you will be able to single-handedly shut down entire team comps and set them all in disarray.